Snowfall can transform any town into a winter wonderland, but it can also cause dangerous conditions. And southeast Minnesota and northeast Iowa know how quickly that can change. During the winter season, your Weather Authority team works around the clock to keep you safe. And with Project Blizzard, they are covering even more. From winter weather advisories to blizzard warnings, KTTC will give you the tools to prepare for it all. Project Blizzard starts now, only on KTTC.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Chief Meteorologist Nick Jansen. We're no strangers to winter weather across our area, but when unprepared, some situations can become dangerous. Tonight in this half-hour special, your Weather Authority team will give you the tools to stay safe when any winter weather comes your way. Whether you have a warm place to stay or need help seeking shelter, and how authorities make sure cities are prepared for the worst.
If the public stays home and heeds the warnings, it allows us to stay safe and stay more local for extreme emergencies.
But first, we need a better understanding of the differences between each winter storm. When people think of a blizzard, we normally imagine a massive snowstorm with strong winds and really heavy snowfall. However, there's one big misconception when it comes to the classification of what makes a blizzard. It's the fact that snowfall accumulations have nothing to do with it. Visibility impacts and winds are the main factors contributing to a blizzard warning being issued for a specific storm. The National Weather Service classifies a blizzard as a storm with sustained or frequent winds of 35 miles per hour or higher with adequate falling and blowing snow that reduces visibility to a quarter mile or less. These conditions must last for a minimum of 3 hours. This means blizzards can cause extremely dangerous conditions on the roadways just like this one. You can experience whiteout conditions due to falling and blowing snow, not to mention the snowdrifts that can occur on roadways due to some of those strong winds during a blizzard. These conditions lead to travel being nearly impossible. We can actually have blizzard and whiteout conditions well after the snow is done falling. This is called a ground blizzard. In this case, strong surface winds continue to cause blowing and drifting snow, resulting in whiteout conditions. This can even happen with sunny skies.
When snow, sleet, blowing, and drifting snow or ice create difficult and even dangerous road conditions, drivers are highly encouraged to avoid traveling until those road conditions improve and become safer. But what about those that still need to be out on our roadways to keep us safe in emergency situations?
It's safer to get there and be late than not get there at all.
When the public is advised to stay off the roads during winter weather events, there's a reason: safety.
If the public stays home and heeds the warnings, it allows us to stay safe and stay more local for extreme emergencies as needed.
When dangerous winter weather is imminent, MnDOT, local ambulance crews, law enforcement, and other emergency responders coordinate, plan ahead, and work together to keep the public safe.
MnDOT would also come out for kind of more of the rural areas or the highways, plow ahead of us, allow us to get to the scene, to get to the patient safely, and fire department, if it was in town, would help us out as well.
I can count on my hand numerous times where we've had to get an ambulance to the hospital. The one I recall is I had to drive all the way to Lake City, and they followed me from Lake City all the way to St. Mary's.
And emergency personnel say to expect slower response times as they now have to deal with the bad roads.
We cover 131 square miles, nearly 132 square miles of area in our fire district. So we have a lot of rural areas that if people are having fires or a significant emergency in the wintertime, there's going to be a delay.
If there is a theft or somebody comes home and maybe their house got broken into or there's damage somewhere, we're just not going to take that until the snow event is over.
So what is it like behind the wheel of an emergency vehicle during these storms?
I have been on several trucks when we've had to go out in the wintertime, and it does get very intense if you're the driver of one of these big trucks and you can't see.
It's just a weird feeling to be going, what we call code 3, lights and sirens, to a call and you're going maybe 30 miles an hour when normally, you're not doing that.
So next time you hear your local meteorologist tell you to avoid traveling through dangerous road conditions, it's important to heed that warning. We say it to keep you and your loved ones safe and make the jobs of those who still have to be on the road easier and safer. Meteorologist Sarah Gannon, KTTC, your Weather Authority.
Weather terminology can be very confusing. Let's get a better understanding of some of the winter weather advisories and warnings that are issued here in southeast Minnesota and northeast Iowa. Winter weather advisories are issued when a winter storm is possible in the next 12 to 36 hours. These advisories are issued for storms that are expected to produce 4+ inches of snowfall in a 12-hour time span, or when ice accumulations are expected to reach near a ½ inch. Winter weather advisories can also be issued when hazardous weather is expected during peak travel times. Olmsted County has averaged 11 winter weather advisories during the winter season since 2005. A winter storm watch is issued by the National Weather Service when conditions are favorable for a winter storm in the next 24 to 72 hours. These are issued when the storm is expected to produce heavy snowfall of 7+ inches of snow within a 12 to 24-hour time frame. If those conditions continue to be in the forecast, the National Weather Service will then issue a winter storm warning. Since 2005, Olmsted County has averaged 4 winter storm warnings per winter season. Finally is a blizzard warning, which is issued when a blizzard event is expected in the next 12 to 36 hours. The warning is issued when sustained winds are greater or equal to 35 miles per hour and visibility is reduced to a 1/4 mile for at least 3 hours. We average right around 1 blizzard warning per winter season in Olmsted County since 2005.
When cold weather hits, you probably bundle up or maybe find yourself next to a warm fireplace. Maybe you just cozy up on your couch inside your heated home. Well, not everyone has this same luxury. If you or someone you know struggles with finding shelter during the winter months, Rochester does have some options.
I was homeless actually, and I had no one or nothing, no money, no nothing at the time.
It's an unfortunate reality for some.
I know that some of them that don't have housing and stay in their vehicles will continue to stay in their cars.
But there are options in Rochester. The Warming Center provides emergency shelter for those 18 and older. It's open every day of the year from 8 at night until 8 in the morning. Right now, with COVID-19 protocol in place, it can accommodate up to 42 guests. The Dorothy Day House has 23 beds. It is open from 4 in the afternoon until 9 in the morning. The Salvation Army will provide short-term housing for people in crisis. The Cronin Home runs a little different setup, but has more space.
We can house up to 44 individuals.
It's a safe and sober house for those trying to curb substance abuse.
When we've had those blizzards, they have a safe place to be. They don't have to leave the warmth of the facility to go anywhere.
The staff, are very nice, and just to have a safe place to stay and be sober.
The Landing is a newer day center for those without a home.
Keeping warm, getting from one place to another is probably one of the bigger struggles, or has been in the past.
For those not homeless but struggling, there is assistance.
Three Rivers runs an energy assistance program as well as a weatherization assistance program. So people can apply for energy assistance. It helps pay heat and electric. This program year, the grants have actually increased. So the maximum grant could be as high as $2,000.
And if you're looking for ways to help, the Salvation Army says donations are needed. Some advice: donate insulated outerwear. The warmer the better. Cute really doesn't matter. In Rochester, Cami Raisler, KTTC, your weather authority.
Thanks, Cami. And when those bitter temperatures hit, power outages can become a concern.
They can operate as low as 22 below zero.
Up next, we take a look at our local power grid and how we avoid mass outages when the snow and ice come. Stay with us.
KTTC, your weather authority, with meteorologists Nick Jansen, Ted Schmidt, Sarah Gannon, and Amanda Morgan. KTTC Project Blizzard continues.
As winter weather fastly approaches, let's have a deep dive on how we actually forecast for each winter storm in southeast Minnesota and northeast Iowa. When we're 6 to 8 days out, we start to observe patterns in the forecast. We start to recognize if it's possible that we could potentially see snow in the next 6 to 8 days. When we're 4 to 5 days out, our confidence begins to grow in the forecast, whether or not the snow will potentially happen or if we'll miss the snowfall. As we look 2 to 3 days out, we start to determine timing and we start to determine impacts. How should we plan with a specific snowstorm that's potentially happening in the next 2 to 3 days? As we finally get closer and closer, 1 to 2 days out is when we can start finally talking about timing and accumulations. How much snow will we have? When and where will it impact at? And how should we begin to react. Now, it's important to keep this in mind, especially when you start seeing snowfall totals on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, almost 6 to 8 days out. So we're forecasting for dangerously cold temperatures, and you're relying on your furnace to keep you safe. There's always a major fear of power outages. However, there are precautions that power companies take to make sure this doesn't happen to keep you and your family safe. Our meteorologist Amanda Morgan checks in with a better understanding of how this works. Amanda?
In the Midwest, we always plan for the worst, and after a winter storm crippled the Texas power grid last year, we're taking a closer look at how our energy sources are prepared for the cold, snow, and ice, including wind turbines like these. Below freezing temperatures and a half-foot of fresh snow is just another Monday in the Midwest. But in Texas, it was the beginning of a historic winter event. Texans will remember February 10th through the 18th of 2021, not only for the coldest temperatures and the most snowfall that they have ever seen, but for the power grid failure that left half of the state's population without water or electricity for nearly 2 days. This catastrophic event raised questions of exactly why the Texas power grid failed, and if similar failures could be possible in areas that see even colder temperatures and receive larger snowfalls. The primary cause of electrical power outages during the winter is ice storms or heavy wet snow accumulating on power lines, causing poles to fall. Heavy ice and snow can also cause large tree branches to fall, sometimes landing on power lines. However, Rochester Public Utilities is prepared for these types of events.
We actually design our system to handle a certain amount of ice loading and a certain wind value. The other thing is tree trimming. We do some tree trimming around town to alleviate and move those trees away from a fall down situation that they can get into a power line that is ongoing as we speak.
Most Midwestern power poles are designed to support lines with up to an inch of ice accumulation in winds of 40 miles per hour. Power lines and poles aren't the only energy sources that need to be able to withstand winter weather. Many wind turbines in the Midwest are installed with a cold weather package to keep them running during the winter.
Those heating packages heat up the internals of the wind turbine so that they can operate as low as 22 below zero. You can bet that it's called the Electric Reliability Organization of Texas, they'll be requiring those wind turbine operators to improve on the reliability for those cold weather extreme events.
Aside from the design differences, the way that Minnesota and Iowa receive energy differs from Texas. We are a part of a 15-state transmission organization from which we buy and sell energy, while Texas acts as its own transmission operator.
So they're their own state. So we're able to lean on the other states, and the more that you have in the system, the more protected you are for those large outages.
This multi-state transmission organization, combined with winter-hardy designs, helps keep our lights and heaters on no matter how frightful the weather may get. For Project Blizzard, Amanda Morgan, KTTC, your weather authority.
Thanks, Amanda. And when the first snow hits, it's important to be prepared.
Most common injuries that we tend to see related to shoveling or at that early part of winter is shoulder, back, and neck.
We have some tips and tricks to keep you safe this winter up next.
And as we head to break, let's test your winter weather knowledge. What is the Rochester record for the most snowfall in a month? We'll have that answer when we come back.
Before the break, Ted asked you, what is the Rochester record for the most snowfall in a month? And that is 41.3 inches set in December 2010. Although many of us are used to the snowy and cold winters here in southeast Minnesota and northeast Iowa, some of us might be experiencing that for the first time. Our Zach Fuller has some tips and tricks on how to prepare us for that first snowfall. Zach?
When the snow falls and the cold winds blow, you're the first line of defense for getting your driveway clear, and here in Rochester, it's required you clean your sidewalks as well. But taking care of your body is a must to prevent injuries.
Shoveling is one of the things that we do see injuries start to creep up, especially that first part of the year, because it's a new activity that you're introducing that you haven't done in 6 months, hopefully 6 months.
Injuries are mainly seen in 3 areas.
Most common injuries that we tend to see related to shoveling or at that early part of winter is shoulder, back, and neck.
And physical therapists we spoke with say it's commonly related to the volume of shoveling.
It's kind of a too much, too soon
approach to getting work done.
So, when it comes to shoveling, form will tremendously help.
Using your legs to lift, keeping the load or the snow close to you as you're moving the snow versus far away, or limiting repetitive rotation to put more strain on lower back joints and muscles.
But having the right tools can make it a lot easier.
It's definitely going to be a back saver if you have a snowblower.
With multiple options to choose from, Eric has some tips on what size would best fit you for the upcoming winters ahead.
It all depends on the size of their driveway, on what size snowblower they would want. Like a 2 to 4 car driveway, I would go with a single stage. We have 2 single stage here. One has your rubber paddles, one has the steel auger, so it's a lot more durable. If they have a bigger driveway or if they have a bunch of sidewalk that they have to do as well, a 2-stage would be more the route they would want to go. Now we're into the 2-stage. This is a 24-inch. This one is self-propelled as well as the 30-inch.
Kaiser says other options to weigh would be gas or electric blowers, noting that electric has become much more common in recent years. Some other things to keep in your car for the winter include an ice scraper, a brush, since here in Minnesota you need to clear your entire car, jumper cables in case of a dead battery, a blanket, a rope or chain in case you get stuck in the snow, a shovel to help dig yourself out, and some food in case of getting stuck for long periods of time. Back to you.
Thanks for all those useful tips, Zach. I still don't have a snowblower, but I might need to get one. Coming up, we're testing your winter weather knowledge. Stay with us for Ted's Trivia.
How much snow accumulated in Rochester during the infamous snowstorm of May 2nd, 2013?
And as we go to break, did you know the record for the most seasonal snowfall in Rochester is 86.8 inches of snow in 2018-2019? That is more than 33 inches above average. Ted has been testing our winter weather knowledge throughout the broadcast, and he also put some Rochester residents to the test. Let's see how they did.
We've hit the streets of Rochester to test local people's knowledge about winter weather with some of Ted's trivia. What is the Rochester record for most snowfall in one day? Is it 14.5 inches, 17.8 inches, 19.8 inches, or 24.5 inches?
17.
17.8.
It's actually 19.8 inches.
19.8?
Yeah. How much snowfall does Rochester typically measure in a year? Is it 48.1 inches, 52.7 inches, 55.5 inches, or 60.1 inches?
58, did you say, or whatever?
55.
55.
48.1.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they just updated that last year. Every 10 years they update the average, and it's actually lower than it used to be. How much snow accumulated in Rochester during the infamous snowstorm of May 2nd, 2013? Is it 11.3 inches, 12.5 inches, 14.5 inches, or 15.4 inches?
15.4.
That's right.
15.4 inches.
That's right, yes. More than a foot of snow. It's quite a bit for May or any time of the year.
I just remember that because May 2nd is our anniversary, and so it was a snowy day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nasty, all right. What is the coldest wind chill value ever officially registered in Rochester? Is it 53 below zero, 60 below zero, 64 below, or 80 below?
80 below.
It's actually 64 below.
You want me to go with the 60 below?
It's actually 64 below. Ooh, way back in 1982. We were very close a couple years ago. That last polar vortex nearly got us there. How long must visibility be reduced to less than a quarter mile for a blizzard warning to be issued? Is it 1 hour, 3 hours, 5 hours, or 6 hours?
3 hours.
That's right, 3 hours. Ding, ding, ding. All right, what is the earliest date Rochester has ever experienced a sub-zero temperature? Is it October 23rd, October 25th, October 30th, or November 5th?
D. October 30th.
It's October 25th, actually. Even earlier.
No, I don't want the cold.
What is the record for most snowfall in a season in Rochester? Is it 76.8 inches, 86.8 inches, 91.8 inches, or 94.3 inches?
91.8 inches.
It's close. 86.8 inches set 2 winters ago, 2018-19.
You can tell I'm not a fan of winter.
Hey, that was pretty good. And as we head to break, did you know since 2005, Rochester has averaged around 1 blizzard warning per season? The only time Rochester had 2 blizzard warnings was in 2013 and 2014. As we said earlier, our area is no stranger to winter weather. But what is the earliest that we've seen at least 1 inch of snowfall? The earliest measurable snowfall in Rochester was September 26, 1942. Our average first snowfall is November 4th. The earliest we've received 1 inch of snowfall is on October 12th in 2009. On average, Rochester has its first 1 inch snowfall by November 21st. As for when we are getting excited about spring and summer weather, we can still see snowfall all the way into May. The latest Rochester has received measurable snowfall was May 15th in 1997, and the latest 1 inch snowfall was May 5th in 1944. Our area has been hit with quite a few winter storms throughout history, and this year marks 30 years since one of the biggest, Halloween 1991, may have been the scariest Halloween yet. You might recognize these scenes. We had to dig them out of our archives to find this footage. The night started with rain, and then temperatures dropped and the rain turned into snow. By the end of the weekend, trees were downed, roads were closed, and Freeborn and Mower counties were declared disaster areas. Thousands were without power. It took weeks, hundreds of linemen, and $2.5 million to fully restore power. More recently, back on Friday, December 10th, 2010, a mix of freezing rain and snow quickly turned road conditions dangerous. Snow totals ranged from a few inches to as much as 20 in some areas, the highest amounts falling right along and north of Interstate 90. And with the gusting winds around 35 miles per hour, visibility was low, causing whiteout conditions. The storm ended within a day, but winds caused blizzard-like conditions through that weekend. Thank you for joining us tonight. We hope this gave you the tools to stay safe this upcoming winter season. And be sure to download our free KTDC Weather Authority mobile app to catch our forecast anywhere you go. Have a good night.